があるとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。
To my motherfucking man, 50 grand, the alcoholic man, inject a tall can in his bloodstream if he can. Biggie Smalls, the 50 stroker, MC provoker, chocolate tie smoker. Huh? I like to max and Maximas and Acuras. Your girl butt cheeks, I'm smacking. Huh? The raw rapper, spine snapper with the little, cause on my lap. A shot, the ball, I ain't your fucking comforter. And if I ever fall in love, I bet I'm fucking her. Ask the if I didn't choke her. If she try to front, then I drop the Chucky.
Episode 107 of that World Champion Sound Virtual Pros podcast. My name is Al, aka Henny Omega, aka the Bandman, aka Bougie Nagata, aka Two Phone Scorpio, aka Super Brazy, aka Pete Gas Break Dip Dip, aka No Speak Broke Boy, Kami Shinsuke Stack a Mill Up, and with me, one half of the Holy Scheming Army, one half of Blemolition, one half of the Bread Hunters, one half of the Heavenly Thotties, my main oos, Mike.
Hey, what's up, motherfuckers? It's Mike, a.k.a. Dr. Swagner Jr., a.k.a. D-Lo Brown Bag, a.k.a. Sticky Fuji, a.k.a. Tim Tam Bigelow.
Today's topic, Al and Mike are invited to the Criterion Committee and humbly submit their expert recommendations. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTL Pros. Hit us on iTunes, hit us on Spotify, join our Discord, and if you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. The Vert Bags came out, Mike, with some emails. Thank God. They heard our cries from last episode. Do you mind starting off with that first one?
Sure. First one's from Joe Supposed to. It's video games.
It's from, isn't it from, what's it called? Our man, what's it
called? Oh, yeah,
Max?
Primitive Pleasures Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Jordan Oliver, Pull Your Pants Up. It's titled. Hello, Alan Mike. This is Max from Columbus. It was recently brought to my attention that the hipster heartthrob Casanova Valentine is wearing the Virtual Pros Bruiser Brody shirt as a back patch. I was at a shitty indie show in Columbus, Ohio once where Casanova and Marcus Crane were feeling it more than anyone else there. I was there to see Mance Warner and Gringo Loco myself. Casanova Valentine did not invent no-ring deathmatch. I have seen that midget dude Puppet put on no-ring deathmatch shows and rockabilly bars since at least 2013. Just Google Puppet the Midget Wrestler. My question is, has there ever been a wrestler or fan who wore a Virtual Pro shirt you felt ashamed of? Stay up, brothers. Max from Columbus.
Starting off hot, we see. Okay, that's fine.
I don't think so. Not to my knowledge, at least. There hasn't been anybody. I mean, I'm very happy anytime anybody buys a shirt. So I don't really care who it is, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like the roster's been pretty brolic. Fucking Hot Sauce, Cassius Ohno, Zaya Brookside, Maya Iwatani, Io Shirai, Bull Nakano, Casanova Valentine, I guess. Shout out to Casanova. Can we say no ring deathmatch though? Isn't that trademark?
Yeah, I know. We might get sued now. I think we're cool though. We're cool. Me and him are cool, so it's okay. I could say it.
I was just joking. Next email is from Joe's Poster, right? Cool.
Yep.
Titled Video Games and Dave's Test. Hey boys, love the video game talk and seeing Al try and conquer super ghouls and ghosts. I try and play those classic games on the Switch and can't figure out how to reconfigure the buttons to my liking because I'm older than Mike, so I just helped my kid figure out puzzles on Luigi's Mansion 3. My brain is better suited to that. One thing I hated when you'd play the arcade version of something at home, do very well to excellent, and then try and replicate that, suggests that in the arcade get embarrassed, either by the CPU or real players, that and not being able to figure out the controls of GoldenEye on N64 led to my 10-plus year drought from video games. It really feels, especially this year, that the Observer Year-End Awards are your test if you've been following along to Dave's takes in the prior year. I don't think I've ever cared about the Observer Awards or the Hall of Fame, whether I was subscribing or not. I do get influenced by some online tastemakers, you two included, but because Scott Levy will never be in Dave's online list of people that meet a certain imaginary criteria doesn't make me like Raven any less. And Brian crowing about his terrible book getting 240 whole votes made me question how prestigious these Observer Awards are. I don't know how easy, hard it is to vote, but that's embarrassing. at least say it 93,173 as a joke. Thanks, Joe, aka Diamond Joe Leonard, aka Leonard F. Chikarasan, aka Chikarasan. It's a lot to parse through, Joe. I have given up trying to beat Super Ghouls and Ghosts. I beat that game 3 straight times. But you have to beat that game with like a special suit, and getting that special suit requires you to like not get hit for like an extended period of time. That's impossible. Like, I beat the last boss in my boxers, and you don't get props for that. So I was really fucking bummed out and really discouraged. And then plus Animal Crossing came out, so I just kind of put that one away. But I feel like I beat it, but I didn't see the credits or anything.
Yeah, that's why it's just there's no reason to even try and beat that game, because it's like, they made the new one, they put it on Switch, they should fix it. They should fix the ending and be like, in the beginning there should be an option. Do you want the baby ending or do you want like the real hardcore ending? And everybody would pick the baby ending. So also I'm
still gonna try to beat it, but in terms of like fixing it, even the slowdown is replicated like to a T. Like,
yeah,
you're playing on this modern machine and there's still fucking lag, and I'm like, you don't have to fucking introduce this like 20 years later. It's fine. You can fix that, but it's okay.
Also, I have Luigi's Mansion 3, and there was a part, probably like the 4th or 5th level, where I was like, this is too hard. I'm over this game. So don't feel bad, Joe. Also on GoldenEye N64, I was good at that game at first, when it first came out, and then I remember I had a friend that was like pretty far behind in technology, and he had like an N64 hooked up in like 2012, like it was no big deal. And he had GoldenEye, and I was like, oh man, I haven't played this in a while. And it was like, I can't even explain it. It was just like, I couldn't even move the guy forward. Like, it was just like, the controls are so like prehistoric compared to other things, and archaic, and it like the graphics are so bad compared to new graphics that I was just like looking at mud, and it was impossible to do anything.
Yeah, shout out to Oddjob. He was always pretty unfair if you played a deathmatch. But yeah, it is weird to like play old FPS games, because now you can move in 2 directions. Like, you can walk, and you can look around. Whereas in GoldenEye, I think you just are just walking around. Right? It's real tough to maneuver after playing anything with modern controls. Corey wrote in and he sent a match recommendation, so let's put that in the big match recommendation pile. Then Liam wrote in, titled WCW 2000. Hey, what's going on, Vertbags? I was thinking about recently. Hey, what's going on, Vertbags? I was thinking about recently, and I feel, that doesn't make any sense. And I feel like WCW, I was thinking about it recently, is what Liam wanted to say. And I feel like WCW 2000 gets a bad rep. And one of the things I definitely enjoyed from that car crash year was the triple cage match, which leads to the question, which promotion do you think brings back this match first? Liam, aka Baron von Raschcheek, aka Dirty Dipset Murdoch. I don't think WCW 2000 gets a bad rep. That's a younger person's viewpoint, and it's just because WWE has been so like bland and corny for 10 years now that in comparison, WCW 2000 looks fun, but it was really bad. As far as the triple cage, they did that when I was like a really little kid, and they called it the Tower of Doom. I think it was still NWA, and it was before I even knew anybody in NWA really. And I just remember seeing the commercials for the pay-per-view and being so pumped to see like 3 cages on top of each other. And I was like, oh my God, that's going to be the greatest match ever. And it wasn't. It was kind of boring, but it was still like pretty crazy to see as a kid. And it was one of those things where I was like, when are they going to bring that back? And they didn't bring it back until that WCW match. But actually, no, they did it before 2000, because they did it in the they did the backwards, or they did the version with Hulk Hogan where he fought Zeus again, and that guy named the Final Solution, which was sketchy. But so they did it a few times, but I think like anytime I've heard an account of anybody who's been in a triple cage match, they just say it's horrible and like it sucks to maneuver in and blah, blah, blah. So I don't think anybody would bring it back, but it's definitely not going to be WWE. Maybe AEW do it. They really like these WCW gimmicks, so maybe they will if they get desperate, but I would love to see it again. I just don't think it's going to happen. As an aside, I'm not even trying to bash on you, Liam, but like if it sounds like we're illiterate when trying to read these emails, it's because we're trying to like visually edit while reading them. So like, that's why there's a lot of pauses. No offense, Liam, but you know that's why it sounds the way it does sometimes. Yeah, my guess is AEW as well. I mean, they're going back into crates with Jake Roberts and other people, so I can see them bringing it back. Maybe NXT. Who knows? Next email is from DJ, titled GCW Road Report. What's up, Vertbags? It's about a week after what could be the last indie wrestling show that'll ever happen in front of a live studio audience, the World on GCW. My megabus had more people on it than I expected. I understand this was irresponsible, especially after the fact, as I sit at home because my job is closed. Tony Deppen smashing his head was terrifying. I thought he was real fucked. I'm glad he's okay. 3 people did balcony dives. That's pretty much done being exciting. I'm all in on Blake Christian. There was a baby in a stroller at the show. Matt Justice has never drank Mountain Dew. Nick Gage is still the fucking man. These are my takeaways. I hope one day we can watch wrestling in person again. At the time of sending this thing, it is now a week later, and I think I can confirm that I did not get COVID-19 from Steve Sanders' blunt pre-scramble. Thanks, DJ, a.k.a. DJ Strong Style, a.k.a. It's Just the Flu, a.k.a. Wash Your Fucking Hands. I didn't peep this show, Mike. Did you? And was it good? I didn't hear about a baby being in attendance.
I caught some of it. No, there was also a baby in the no crowd one, where it was just like all the wrestlers watching and then a baby for some reason, which seems, and this is, so, you know, not to get all doomy and gloomy, but it was pretty irresponsible to have this live show in the first place with people. Yeah. And then it was super irresponsible to have the other one, just because it was only wrestlers. And there was a little baby there that can't say, "Hey, daddy, my throat is sore." You know, like it's pretty fucked, man. Like I've talked about it before. I don't want to fucking tell anybody how to take care of their kids, man, but this is like no joke right now what's going on. And I don't know. Again, not to get too heavy, but maybe it's for people who don't live in major cities and they don't think it's like not a joke, or that it is a joke, but it's definitely no joke. So I don't know. But either way, I did see the World. It was pretty good. Like, it was kind of grim going into it, being like, man, this is probably the last show in a while with a crowd. So, but it was fun. I turned it on after the Tony Deppen thing happened, but so I didn't see it. But yeah, it was a pretty decent show. I'm glad DJ is okay. Hopefully he stays okay. And, cause I don't think he's out of the woods yet. So he's got a few more days. So pray for DJ, everybody. Next,
DJ, wash those hands, baby. Just the flu.
Yep. Next email's from, is this an email? No.
We got a bunch of requests, but I think the next email's from our man Dan.
No, DJ.
Oh wait, no, Nick.
Yeah.
Nick.
Yeah. Emilio also sent. Emilio and DC both sent in more mixtape recommendations, and then Nick. Aged road reports. So I was bugging him in the Discord to send in some road reports. I didn't know he was going to print 75,000 words though, so I'm going to speed this up. Since I can't play Animal Crossing while working from home anymore, I decided to finally send in these pre-coronavirus road reports that I definitely did not proofread, and a couple of questions I drafted like 6 months ago. AEW Austin Road Report. Jesus Christ, this was so long ago. This was the dynamite after the most emotional episode in wrestling history. Bless you, Cody Rhodes. They had a lot to prove, and I think they delivered, as this was the first in a 3-week streak of good Dynamite episodes leading up to Revolution. I suspended belief for the Riho versus Nyla Rose match and enjoyed it. Didn't hear any negative reactions to Nyla winning the title. MJF and Jungle Boy had a match to remind me that MJF can actually wrestle and can do more than just flip off fat people in wheelchairs as a gimmick. Some guy in the front of me kept telling Goldust to die already, retire, you suck, so fuck that guy. Lots of the usual AEW everyone run to the ring action, so much that I can't even remember a bunch of stuff. Loud Judas singing, great, love it. Security was very bad. I just walked onto the floor and enjoyed AEW Dark from the third row, and got a boop from Chris Stat. I was real stoked when Justin Roberts teased a very excited main event. Imagine my disappointment when QT Marshall's music hit. It was him and Peter Avalon versus the Young Bucks. Thank you, Justin. Very cool. At the end, a nerd in a Scooby-Doo costume and a nerd in a Jesus cosplay pinned Brandon Cutler, and QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes handed out red vines to the crowd. All in all, lots of bad t-shirts, a bad guy with JR Open Your Mouth sign, very expensive beers, and I saw a guy crawling on the floor picking up Young Bucks dollars. Shouts to Virtual Bro, Vertbag, Macho Main in attendance. U4IA Road Report, which if you say it all at one time, it's Euphoria. So that's
boy.
it's almost
Fuck
like
outta
it's
here.
like a rave wrestling promotion almost. The debut show for Euphoria. I'm embarrassed to admit how long it took me to realize this was supposed to be pronounced Euphoria. This was in a small municipal gymnasium, which made it the first wrestling show I had to sit through while sober. It was hosted by Kenny King and Silas Young, so obviously we're starting with the heavy hitters. We sat next to a mom who was trying to start age-appropriate chants for a child, which is sort of an adorable idea, but annoying as fucking practice. She and her kids were chanting, please be careful, and yikes on bikes, yikes on bikes. She was very unhappy when everyone was chanting Nick fucking Gage when he came out for his San Antonio street fight match against ROH legend Cheeseburger, which was way more brutal than I expected it to be. Cheese whipped out a bag of thumbtacks. The romantic touch blew a kiss to my girlfriend, but then I showed her a picture of his face and she was not impressed. I don't know who that is. Some guy yelled, I am the best wrestler in the world before going for the jumping on everyone standing around hugging spot and completely overshot it and landed on his head in a very scary way. Just a concussion, I guess. Danhausen was in like the second match and his teeth were in the ring for the rest of the night, which was probably painful and gross for everyone else. Black Taurus, Jacob Fatu, AJ Gray, and Impact wrestler Chris Bay were all very impressive. It was a semi-stacked show with a very small crowd, so I doubt we see Euphoria more than one or two more times, but for the sake of the cave trolls in attendance, I hope they do. Speaking of cave trolls, there is one non-Discord Vrtbag in the crowd in his 450-degree shirt, so shouts to him. Questions. The other day, I got wasted after a funeral and decided that the only thing that I could do to make me feel better was to order the Okada Rainmaker gun from Stash Pages. It's a real piece of shit. What are some of the dumbest wrestling purchases you've made while inebriated? A cell phone photo opportunity with Kip Sabian does not count. Also, do you think the subjects of wrestling crowd shots sit there looking for cameras and overreact for the entire show, practicing for their moment in the sun? Imagine sitting next to a person trying to get themselves over for the reaction cameras. What the fuck? Love from Nick, a.k.a. Superhuman Raviolia, a.k.a. Kem Onita, a.k.a. Rip Homeboy Scotty 2. Rip Homeboy Scotty 2 Hottie. I think I've chronicled it before. The only weird drunken wrestling purchase I've made is paying way too much for a John Cena the Marine shirt on eBay, which I don't regret, but it was definitely something I wouldn't have did if I was sober. And what was the second question?
Do people practice?
Yeah.
On camera?
I think before I was before I realized how big YouTube reactions were on YouTube, I probably would have said no fucking way. But now that I see how big that is and how people even do it on Twitter and post themselves crying and stuff like that, I gotta say they probably do practice it, and that's a real sad thing. I when I was at AEW, I did see some people do like the hands on the head thing, and they had to know they were nowhere close to a camera ever filming them. So I would hope that was genuine, but if people are doing it up there, that's even sadder though.
I do the hands-on head thing a lot if I get a bad beat in blackjack, so I don't know. I'm kind of with you that people do practice it for the most part at wrestling shows, but that's an expression that I'll use from time to time. I bought the Rainmaker gun completely sober, so you decide, Vrtbags, on who's sadder.
Do you agree that it was a piece of shit?
Nick. I didn't put batteries in it yet, so
okay.
I can't say for certain. What's wrong with it, Nick? Does it not shoot as well as you thought it would? I don't know. Let me know. Virtual Pro 64. You have the email address. Next email is from my man Dan, titled Stuff. Hey guys, I hope you guys are doing well and keeping safe in SF in Chicago. It's well known that Mike thinks tag teams are weird, but what hip-hop duos are your definition of a great tag team? Like, are they inseparable, and then when they split up, one may be better than the other? One's the Jannetty and one's HBK. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing good and talking through your favorite Mad Benoit conspiracy theories. Just you wait, Daniel. Bless up, Dan. I guess if we're talking in terms of, like, if they split up and one is just, like, the definitive star, what a lead-in. I think Gangstar is, like, your go-to. Outcast? No, I mean, Andre's my favorite, but, Big Boy's obviously pretty good, too.
I think, this isn't a hot take. I do like Big Boy, but I do think a lot of people just pretend to because they feel like they need to. But yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about because that Sir Luscious Left Foot or whatever that album was called.
Yeah.
like that was getting a lot of praise that like I didn't really get at the time.
I really like that record.
Okay, but
I really like that record, but yeah, I don't think. I think a lot of people are just they say that to like to seem like like they're a little cooler than they are, because yeah, I don't know.
So you're in agreement that 3000 is what people listen to. Not the reason, but it's probably everyone's favorite out of Outkast, right?
Yeah, I mean it's very he has a very palatable style and it's wacky, and that's white people love wackiness, and Big Boy is more of an actual lyricist, and I think that Luscious Lightfoot is the most pop centric he's gotten, but it's still, I think it's a little too impenetrable to a lot of normal mainstream whites.
He is the Hawk to 2000s, no, I mean to Big Boy's Animal, as so many say. Clips is like that too. I don't think anyone's checking for malice, right?
No, unless you're Christian. Okay. I would have to go with my favorite rap group in the world, which is of course APMD. They're nothing without each other, and that is I'm old, so it's okay for me to say EPMD. But they're near and dear to my heart. Anytime I put out one of their records, I'm like, man, it sucks these guys broke up, and it's like fucking 400 years later, and I'm still just like, man, it sucks they broke up. And of course, A Tribe Called Quest, because the Q-Tip solo album's okay, but it's not that great. And I don't know. And Fife is very not good on his own, but together they're very good. So even though it's more of a 6-man tag team, it's more of like Free Bird rules, but I count them as a tag team.
Little Brother too. I don't think you're a Little Brother fan, but
no, I like that one. I like the one record, of course, but yeah.
Oh, listening, yeah, for sure.
Last email is from Krister. Would have never thought it would have been like this. Peace Pros, long time no nothing. While listening to the old school video game talk in the last episode, my train of thought suddenly brought me to Chono's NWA entrance theme due to its always reminding me of boss fight music. During my next commute home, I put on said theme because I listened to wrestling entrance music while switching 4 lanes. Don't we all, though?
Tell him. Fucking tell him.
The intro always had me so confused. Do I hear Puff Daddy? Did New Japan clear that sample with Bad Boy? Why is the N-word in there? Does a Sean John cross artist collaboration exist? What questionable collaborations would you want to see for your own entertainment? Hope you're doing well, being safe, healthy, and all that. Krister, a.k.a. Chiba Cheebs, a.k.a. Ginger Mahalkita, a.k.a. I'll tell you before I blow my great sauce, Kay. That's gross. I'm not gonna front. I'm a poser. I've never heard this Chono NWO theme, so I don't know what he's talking about. Do you have any insight on this, Al?
What you're listening to is Puff Daddy Victory.
Okay, so Krister just doesn't know what Puff Daddy Victory is then.
Yeah, peep the album, man. It's good.
That's a real weird song not to know. But I get it. I don't know what I don't have any questionable collaboration answers. This was sprung onto us about 20 minutes ago. This email came in, so I don't have any answers.
Give me some Kairi Sane and M-Flow. She's a okay heel, but turn her face, give her that fucking early 2000s J-pop. That's money. That's money being printed. Fucking book it. That was the end of the emails. Hit us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. I have two man scramble topics. I'm going to leave you the one that's probably going to take the most time because I feel like you have some opinions on it, Mike. My first one, it's a very serious lead off. Animal Crossing. Is this transcendent art? Yes or no?
Oh, yes, of course. I'm glad. I'm a little too old for Animal Crossing. I'll admit it. But I felt like I was probably a little too old when the first one came out, and I was like 22 or something when it came out, or 21, and I was like, I'm too old for this. But I love the first one, and it never went away. I always tell myself when they come out that it's gonna be like, I don't know, like it's gonna be Animal Crossing times 100. But honestly, it's not. It's just it's like a little more advanced than the New Leaf. But it's still great. I still love the aspect of collecting everything. I'm so glad there's other people listening to the show that are into Animal Crossing. And since we're in a state of confinement right now, that we could all hang out in Animal Crossing like a bunch of teen girls. But it's fucking cool as hell. And I just love collecting shit. And I know that game's not for everybody, but it's definitely it's why I bought the Switch a year ago, and I'm finally glad it's here.
Yeah, I mean, I was all in on the first GameCube one. I know I bought the DS one, and like I think that's why we became friends on 3DS, but I never really got into it. But this one, I'm into it, like not as much as you and the other Discord guys, because you guys live in fucking mansions, and I just got my first fucking house. I just moved out of the tent, so that was a really big step up for me. But I mean, like in terms of just collecting all the fossils, I mean, those fucking iron nuggets, dude, to build a shop, that's fucking really driving me up a wall right now. But I mean, you know, we're all inside, we all have time to kill, so it's fine. But if you have a Switch, I think this is a must buy.
Yeah, it is.
It's so fun to play with like your friends too. Like, there's so many LOL moments, as the kids would say.
Yeah, that's
playing with my friends and siblings.
That's the big difference between this one and the last one, because 3DS had online access, but it was like a real pain in the ass, and you couldn't really do anything with your friends. This, you can have like 10 of your friends just chilling on your island, and it's pretty sweet. And it's like there's incentives for doing this, because there wasn't even incentives last time. And people are already, I don't know how, they're already doing crazy weird shit in this game that makes me think people you could sometimes you could tell if people are time traveling, because you could see the date in some of their photos, and some of the times you'll see some crazy shit and it's the normal date, so they aren't time traveling in the game. So they've just dedicated probably every waking minute to playing this game. And yeah, I'm just very looking forward to even the more insane shit that keeps coming out for it.
I'm waiting till Sunday so I can buy some fucking turnips, man. I gotta fucking invest. My last two-man scramble topic. So Mania's coming up. As an aside, Roman Reigns dropped out.
Yep.
I mean, good for him, dude. Like, I'm not even mad at that. You should just stay home. Everyone should stay home. Yeah. But if it does go down, one of the marquee matches is AJ Styles versus The Undertaker, who weirdly showed up in a do-rag on a recent Raw, or SmackDown, I think it was. That was real confusing. But they're going to have a boneyard match. And today, AJ Styles, he revealed on his streaming show that no ring will be involved, but a grave will.
Huh.
The odds of this match being a funner watch than the Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton cockroach match, do you think this is going to be better, equal, or worse than that?
I think it's going to be better. I was going to talk about WrestleMania too, so I'll talk about mine after this. But yeah, I think the only two things I'm looking forward to in all of WrestleMania is the boneyard match. But this was before I didn't even know the grave thing. I was in my mind, I was imagining it was going to be like a junkyard match, except like a scary junkyard, like from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, where they like resurrect Freddy. So it would be like all dark and there'd be flames all over the place. But so maybe it's going to be that, but also with a grave, and that would still be kind of like Freddy Krueger. So maybe. And I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to the Bray Wyatt John Cena match, because that was also kind of confirmed to be a little less in ring and more like a movie. And I think WWE's pretty good at doing stuff like that. The cockroach one was just a hologram thing. That doesn't count. The Matt Hardy Bray Wyatt one was kind of lackluster, and they did it with a New Day too or something, I want to say. And that was also kind of lackluster, but I think they know they have to like go all out. So I'm really looking forward to them. So I hope they don't let me down.
I mean, I love your idea, but I mean, this just sounds like a rebranded Buried Alive match. And I think in these trying times, they can't call something Buried Alive. With that said, though, I do think the Boneyard match should be at least entertaining. I mean, the WWE is, they can be in their bag when they want to with post-production, so I'm kind of excited for it.
Yeah, I did not even think it could just be a normal ring match, so hopefully I'm right, because I'm going to be really let down if it is just a normal match in like a normal venue, but there's also a grave at the end, like they did with the Buried Alive match.
That was my last one.
So yeah, I'll just talk about WrestleMania super quick too. It's basically the same shit. I just wanted to say I am also I just wanted to measure Al's like excitement factor, and I think I got it, which is not really that excited. And I'm kind of on the same boat. I think they should have waited to do this. I just really kind of want to see these two matches, and I don't give a shit about the rest of the wrestling. The TV they've been doing for this has been kind of not great. It's kind of awkward. And I thought it was just because it's just impossible to do, but AAW is doing like a decent job at it. So it's not completely impossible. It's still awkward, but not as awkward. It's all kind of like, it all seems like public access to me. Like there used to be this show that no one, like not a lot of people know by name, but you'll always see it in like clips of like wacky shit, like viral shit. It was the old public access show called Stairway to Stardom that took place in like, I don't know, one of those parts of New York like Staten Island where people have like serious accents, and it would just be like normal people like doing like kind of talent show stuff. And that's kind of how this WWE stuff is to me. It seems like real public access-y talent show, dinner theater type stuff, and it's real awkward. So they should have waited to do WrestleMania, I think. WrestleSplania, that the Twitter account, because now 18 people run it, so I don't know who's responsible for it, but they had a good tweet saying they would rather let these people go home to their families mania. And I'm the same way. Like WWE has footage, like archival footage for every wrestling on earth. They have so much footage. Just make a clip show. Have fucking Seth Rollins host a show where he names his 5 favorite matches that you own, and play those instead of Raw. Like, why are you doing this? It's fucking weird. It sucks. You're a $1 billion company. Let everybody go home and just pay them still. I don't know. Outside of that, I have a couple more topics. One of them is just the most no ring or no audience wrestling is pretty bizarre, but something more bizarre happened on Twitter yesterday, and that is one rapper, Fat Joe, or ex-rapper, I don't know if he still raps, quote tweeted Rover, who people who aren't on Twitter, the normal people listening to the show, Rover is like this person, this kid, I don't know, he might be an adult, I don't know how old he is. He lives in Europe, I think Ireland, and he's like a scoops guy, like a wrestling scoops guy, but he doesn't work for anybody. He just, that's how he has orgasms, is he gets off on finding out scoops and sharing them with people. It's real weird. It's not cool, but he's not like a Bix. Like Dave Bixenspan is a guy that is kind of the same deal, but he also has a job doing this. So it's a little different. So it's like, somebody might read a David Bixenspan article that isn't deep in Twitter, but I think you kind of have to be deep in Twitter to know who Rover it is. So anyways, Fat Joe, the rapper, quote tweeted a Rover tweet from 2 years ago talking about like a WWE Saudi Arabia show. And it says, "You call me a cornball. That's like the pot calling the kettle." And then he didn't say black after that. So I don't know if that was on purpose or not. This is one of the most bizarre things to ever happen on Twitter. It's unexplained. It's been about 24 hours. Fat Joe has still not deleted this. So it leads me to believe he either doesn't check his Twitter that often, or he really meant to quote tweet Rover, a 2-year-old tweet that had like no connection to him. It's like I said, it's bizarre. So I came up with a few theories that could lead to why it happened. I'm going to go with the most realistic and the least realistic last, but most realistic first. And that is the only thing I can think of that sounds any bit realistic is that Fat Joe vanity searches himself, but his name is Fat Joe. So it's like, so many people probably say Fat Joe, like Fat or Joe in tweets. It's not that uncommon of a thing. So I think maybe he was like searching and he quote tweeted the wrong tweet, because I do that sometimes. Like when I want to send somebody a link to a tweet, I'll send the one that was quoted instead of the right one. So I'm thinking maybe he did that, and he was like directing it at somebody else who maybe replied to Rover or something that mentioned Fat Joe. I don't know. That just seems realistic. My second theory is that Fat Joe has somebody handling his Twitter that is into wrestling and meant to quote tweet Rover on his own account, his or her own account, and did not notice he was using the Fat Joe account. That seems plausible. I don't know. My last theory is that Fat Joe himself has a burner account where he does wrestling nerd stuff, where he's like following the scoops and stuff, and he meant to quote tweet it from his wrestling nerd account where he calls people marks and stuff like that. Those are my 3 theories. Al, I don't know if you have any. I don't know if other people have it out there, but it is just a very bizarre incident that has happened on Twitter this week.
You said you were naming these from most to least realistic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. To me, it's the way you did it is from least to most. Fat Joe, friend of Big Pun, R.I.P. Big Pun, big wrestling fan. You don't think that they went to watch wrestling together while he was still alive?
I mean, I'm not saying Fat Joe is not a wrestling fan. I don't know he's on the level of knowing who Rover is type of wrestling fan. That seems real ridiculous.
I don't know, man. Do you know anyone that's lightly into wrestling these days, though? Like, you have to be really in or fucking out, right? I'm going to go with your theory, man. I think he just fucking forgot to switch the burner.
I mean, I guess I didn't think of that. Like, the only wrestling fans left are pretty diehard, so you might be right. This might have been it's just, if it was something from like within the last week, it would make more sense. But the fact that it was like a 2-year-old nonsensical tweet is just what makes it so weird. Anyway, the final subject is the downer. It is, of course, the Dark Side of the Ring. The Chris Benoit Dark Side of the Ring episode premiered last week. If you guys don't know, Dark Side of the Ring is a show on Vice where they go over kind of, morbid or just sad, depressing, drug-induced type of wrestling tales, murder, stuff like that. So they did the big Chris Benoit 2-hour episode to premiere their new season. And it was pretty heavy stuff. It's the first time that all that stuff has been presented in like a visual context, I think, where you have it like all right in your face. It's like I said, it's very heavy. There's a lot of people on the internet saying they're crying. I still find that ridiculous. I just want to make sure I just want you guys to know I don't think this is acceptable to still cry at this, but I guess a lot of people did cry over this. Not because they're sad about Chris Benoit, but just it is a sad story with his son and just everything. It's a very sad thing. And I thought this was really great, and I just had like a small problem with it that I wanted to share, which will kind of, I don't know. It's if you didn't watch it, it's hard to express how like devastating this is to watch for 2 hours. It's a very devastating story. Even if you know it, it's not like once you hear it all unravel, it's so much worse. So it just bothered me that like way at the end, they show like Jim Ross and he's like, blah, 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 blah. Chris, whatever he did those last 72 hours of his life, blah, blah, blah. I don't think he should belong in the Hall of Fame. And he says that. And then they're talking to like Chris Jericho or something. He says, I think Nancy should belong in the Hall of Fame. Like, you're seriously going to end this fucking 2-hour like sad fest on talking about if these people belong in an imaginary Hall of Fame? It just seemed so ridiculous to me. I don't know why they kept that in. Like the WWE Hall of Fame is all about promotion and bullshit and like selling video games and shit like that. So who fucking cares if they're in or if they aren't in a Hall of Fame that doesn't really exist? So it just seemed like bad taste to end with that. But outside of that, I thought it was a really great documentary. I think it's must watch if you are any type of wrestling fan or a true crime fan even. I think my girlfriend said her mom has met Chris Benoit and he was a really nice guy when she met him. So but yeah, it's did you have any thoughts on the Chris Benoit sad fest, Al?
Yeah, it was gripping. It's 2 hours that I think is very valuable. It's not something I ever want to watch again, that's for sure. I mean, to speak on your Hall of Fame thing, though, I think it does carry a lot of weight, though, with wrestlers.
I guess.
And I say that because I don't think I talked about this on the show, but when I went to go visit Bull Nakanom's bar, she talked about wanting to be in the Hall of Fame out of nowhere. I'm like, is it really that important?
Wow.
Like, I didn't say that to her, but I mean, like, I thought in my head, like, I mean, I guess legacy is important to a lot of people, but I did also think it was very odd to bring that up after an hour and 50 minutes of them just like breaking your heart about this fucking story of two wrestlers. So I'm in agreement with you with that.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's all I got.
Whew. Today's topic. Mike and Al are invited to the Criterion Committee and humbly submit their expert recommendations. Please stay tuned.
We might as well shine together, better now than never. Business before pleasure. P. Diddy and the fam, who you know do it better. Yeah, right, no matter what, we airtight. So when you hear something, make sure you hear it right. Don't make an ass out of yourself by assuming our music keeps you moving. What are you proving? You know that I'm 2 levels above you, baby. Hug me, baby, I'ma make you love me, baby. Talking crazy ain't gonna get you nothing but choke. And that jealousy is only gonna leave you broke. So the only thing left now is God for these cats. And big, you know you're too hard for these cats. I'ma win cause I'm too smart for these cats. While they making up facts, we making up plaques.
In the commission, you ask for permission to hit him. He don't like me, hit him while wifey was with him. You heard of us, the murderers, most shady. Been on the low lately, the feds hate me. The sun is, they say my killing's too blatant.
Hello and welcome, or not welcome, welcome back to episode 107 of Virtual Pros. This is our main segment for the night. I had this little idea to do kind of a Criterion collection of wrestling. People do compilations of wrestling. You can get best ofs and shit like that. but there's no like upper echelon. There's no preservation society. There's no committee being like, this is the shit that you need to preserve, and this is like the stuff you need to save in the highest quality. It's just people selling this shit, putting it together, selling it. No quality control, blah, blah, blah. Criterion Collection, for those people who aren't film dorks, is a collection that's been around since the VHS days, I believe. I don't really know if it's like a committee. It's some sort of thing like that. And they basically, they collect movies that are kind of visionary. Not so much like, there's some Oscar-winning movies in the Criterion Collection, but it's not just Oscar-winning. It's usually kind of like visionary directors, things that should be preserved. It might not. Most of the movies in the Criterion Collection are shit no one's ever heard of unless you are a film nerd. I mean, like RoboCop is probably like the most known movie in the Criterion Collection, and then after that, it's a lot of shit that if you don't know your directors, you probably don't know what it is. And there's nothing like that for wrestling, and there probably shouldn't be. But I thought it would be a cool thing to like make up our own little personal Criterion Collection and pick a few things each. I don't have any strict guidelines for this. In my head, I was like, well, Blu-rays have like 8 hours of footage, so as long as it's something that could be contained within around 8 hours, 8 or 10 hours, that's fine. So it could be like a best of, it could be, just one event, it could be whatever me and Al's mind's eye thought up to that we should have preserved as some kind of visionary thing. So my first pick is probably the most, meat and potatoes one, the most normal one that, if there was a kind of Criterion Collection for wrestling, I do think this could definitely be a candidate for preservation. And the other thing with Criterion Collection is they have all the bells and whistles. You get the best format, the video format, and you get all the featurettes with all the commentary and blah blah blah. So all of my things that I'm mentioning would come with all the extra bells and whistles and commentary too. But my first choice would be, I would want a collection of every single J Crown title defense, including the original J Crown tournament. This is a thing, if you guys aren't familiar, J Crown is basically the 8 to 10 belts that you see Great Sasuke and Ultimo Dragon carrying around in pictures. It existed for basically about a year before they broke it up. And I don't think I've seen every single title defense, but every single one I've seen has been pretty great. And it's a thing that existed from like 96 to 97. And I would love to have some kind of very definitive collection of all these matches, because I've said it a million times on the show. This is my favorite era of like junior heavyweight wrestling, and I think that would be like an amazing collection to have, and like great quality, and all these people commenting on their matches, and if there was any promos beforehand and all that shit. So that's my first pick.
Well, to hear that Great Sasuke cracking his head open clip in like very high quality sound would be something. I would hate that. To follow your wave, one of my prized Criterion DVDs as a teenager was the Beastie Boys anthology. Mm-hmm. And if I had to pick one guy to have all the bangers in one place, of course it'd be Hayabusa. So my first pick would be a Hayabusa anthology. I think what I suppose tipped this off is Bahu. He uploaded a really cool clip of Hayabusa and Megumi Kudo on this cooking show, where they battled against Fujiwara and Shinobu Kandori. So like, it'd be pretty cool, like, alongside like all those matches that he had, to like also have like all this weird offbeat like variety show shit that I'm sure he did in the 90s.
Yeah.
So to have all that, to see like, all the matches like in really crisp quality. No VG plus here. I'd be pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, that's definitely a pretty good one. I could see that. That could...
maybe some home videos of him going to WCW Thunder.
Yeah,
and, having them tell him to go home. That'd be a bummer to see, I guess.
His appearance in that sad movie, that backyard wrestling movie.
Tokyo Pop.
Yeah. My next one is also an anthology. It's a little different though. It's Bobby the Brain Heenan anthology. I think I've mentioned on the show before. This is Bobby the Brain Heenan is one of my favorite people to ever be involved in wrestling. Named a year-end award after him. I just love Bobby Heenan. He has like a WWE documentary, but it's real weird because it was before he died. But the whole documentary is like, the tone is like as if he died already, and it's kind of like it seems like they were saving it or something. And it's just like this weird tone. But I don't really want a documentary. I just want like Al said for Hayabusa, but with Bobby Heenan, not only just him being a manager, but all his greatest commentary, all his greatest bits from primetime wrestling, the stuff from WCW and you know, a little more obscure shit when he's been on talk shows and stuff like that. That is something I would personally cherish forever, and I don't think it can be 100 hours and I would love it. So that's my second one.
I've been like meaning to watch one of those like up all night things that him and Tony Schiavone did. Did I imagine this? They used to do that, right? Like back in the day on TBS.
Yeah, that was I guess he was on it. Yeah, that's post me unsubscribing to the network. I should have watched that while I had it for that month. Fuck, I didn't even think about that.
Dude, speaking of like Tony Schiavone, like I've been indoors a lot, and like I've been listening to him and Conrad. Dude, Tony Schiavone's a fucking maniac. Do you know about this?
I mean, I'd see here and there, but I don't listen to the podcast, so I don't know.
Oh my
so
God.
You've been listening to podcasts at home?
Yeah, man. Animal Crossing and Tony Schiavone talk, dude. It's like my euphoria, bro.
Yeah, I have real trouble. I haven't listened to a podcast since we got quarantined, man. I have like not one, not even like Dave Meltzer. I haven't listened to shit. I just can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it. So I'm also
that's how I do, man.
Yeah, I'm also quarantined with my girlfriend, so she's not going to be like, "Oh, can you put on that Conrad podcast for 4 hours?" That's what I want to listen to right now. So it's a little tougher for me, I think, to listen to those things.
Oh, dude, tell her to go into the bedroom and listen to Tony Schiavone talk about how small his dick is, dude. It's so fucking funny, man. It's so hilarious.
Maybe that's what I'll do after this show is over and she's in bed. I'll just sit in the living room and put the show together and then listen to Tony Schiavone while I'm doing it.
You'll enjoy it, I promise you. So I wanted to pick a wrestling show. And like truthfully, like a Criterion dedicated to like Super J Cup or or J Crown, I mean. Or WrestleMania 17 or any like super lauded card would be like really cool to watch. But like you had said, like Criterion like has like their fair share of pretty offbeat shit. So even though it's like not an event per se, I'd still like to see like a really souped up version of like one of the most notorious compilation videos out there. And that's Extreme Warfare Volume 2. I want the best, cleanest version of the Joey Styles voiceover commercial. That'd be great. I'd watch that a lot. I'd also like, as a bonus, I would also want Extreme Warfare Volume 1 thrown on there because I have no idea what's on that tape. Like, is that one better than 2? I don't think anyone knows, honestly. I think you just started off with Volume 2, honestly. So I just like to know. Is there a 3? Vertbags, let me know. And I mean, lastly, for investigative reasons, I would like all the alternate camera angles of the night. Come on, Wanalea. Dance the top of ECW Arena. So, I mean, we can finally solve some things, like who handed her the money for the glory hole that night. Rumor says it's Chris Jericho, but I don't know, and no one knows. So, I think for everyone involved, this would be a pretty good release.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That is a very good pick. That is very Criterion worthy, I think. So, I'm all in. My last one is kind of going back to an email. And I don't have this super mapped out. I don't have any exact match list or anything, but I would like to have a collection of basically weird, offbeat gimmick matches that maybe only had like 1 or 2 runs that didn't catch on. Because I'm sure there's a ton I don't even fucking know about that have happened, but just off the top of my head, again, that Tower of Doom match from NWA, I can't remember if it was a Starrcade or not. It was one of their big pay-per-views. The Bungie match from Global Wrestling Federation, which they just had like a Bungie thing. Scaffold matches is overdone. AWA did that weird football match. Like there's been, I'm sure there's a bunch of in the territories that people could dig into. And I would just like a collection of those matches along with the people who came up with those matches, if they're still alive, or at least people that were there, or historians like Dave Meltzer, explaining like the ideas behind these matches and why they happened, because it just always interests me. I've been on record as saying I'm a big fan of WLC, saying it belongs on a WWE best top 100 matches of all time collection. I am very interested in gimmick matches, even if 99% of the time they suck. Even the fucking Sabu and Sheik Onita fucking crazy flame fire match, if that was in, I've never seen that beyond probably G quality. So to have that in like crystal clear Blu-ray quality would be amazing.
Was there ever a good Punjabi prison match, in your opinion, or like?
Did they do more than one?
think there was 2.
Oh my god. Yeah, that could go on there too then.
That's fine. I mean, they're pretty much just giving away the network at this point, so maybe I'll have to peep this after I listen to Tony Schiavone talk. My last pick of the night. Mostly I picked this because I'd love to see what the Criterion art department would whip up cover-wise. You know, they're usually pretty measured.
Yeah.
And they do a really good job with their covers. But for them to use, like, Tony Atlas cooking pork chops and getting punched in the face for real, the Chicago guy, Rory Fox, I think that'd just be an amazing cover. So MTV True Life, I'm a Pro Wrestler, is my last entry to the Wrestling Criterion collection. Also,
one half-hour feature and then like 7 hours of special features then, I guess.
No, so I was saying, I've seen this a ton of times, right?
Yeah.
I would watch this show like 8 times over if every person in this show did like their own voiceover, like Triple H giving his insight on the Chicago dude,
yeah,
or Tony Atlas talking about Rory Fox. No doubt about it. I would watch that shit like the fucking Wire, you know, all day, fucking my window going from night to early morning. No question, man. That would be my actual dream Criterion. So, Criterion, if you're listening, please put this out. Contact MTV. I'm sure they're down to do this with you guys.
That is a good idea. There's we've been watching a lot of Pluto in the Discord. If you guys don't know, there was an episode of Virtual Pros about Pluto, and I was very shocked of how many people talked to me and said I had never heard of Pluto before, but we've been watching a lot of it, and there's an MTV True Life channel on Pluto, but
Get the fuck out of here.
But I think it's only like that newer True Life that came out like pretty recently, but I check it all the time to just see, because I'm sure the fucking wrestling thing is on regular YouTube or whatever, but I'm sure it's also shit quality, so I'm just waiting for it to pop up on Pluto on the True Life channel in like decent quality.
I forgot who offered it to me. If you're listening, please get in contact with me. But they had like the entire OG True Life on DVD, I think. And if I can straight up watch that and I have body dysmorphic disorder, fuck, dude, this quarantine will go by so fast. Well, that was it.
Yep.
If you have any Criterion selections, let us know. virtualpros64@gmail.com. Mixtape time with Alexander Otsuka, Floyd Mayweather, Manders, and ZSJ. Please stay tuned.
Okay, we're back here once again on episode 107 of Virtual Pros. This is our world famous mixtape segment. We have a mixtape on YouTube. Just search Virtual Pros Mixtape or subscribe to Virtual Pros on YouTube. Each episode, we pick a couple matches. We talk about them. You could watch them if you want. If you don't agree with us, or if we make it sound interesting to you, you can go and watch them on Virtual Pros Mixtape. My first match of the night is from AIW, Absolute Intense Wrestling from Cleveland, that I, of course, love, but I don't get to put a lot of stuff on the mixtape. This might even be the first AIW match I put on the mixtape. But this is Manders versus Big Twan Tucker from AIW's not J-Lit Weekend. Is it J-Lit? Yeah, J-Lit Weekend. This is that was from the night that they do the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament. This was a singles match they just threw on there. And I know Manders and Big Twan Tucker both aren't really household names. Manders is he's a newer wrestler. I think he's only been around for a couple years. He's like I would almost say he's kind of like a throwback to times when there was corn-fed cowboys and stuff like that. Like I think he's like a legit Iowa wrestler, and he has like a He looks like a cowboy, basically. He's a big hoss. And Big Twan Tucker is an AIW student. He was famously cameoed on an episode of NXT. And that's his real claim to fame. But this was a match that they just threw on as a non-tournament match in their tag tournament. And it was kind of just like, whatever. Like, I was sitting on the couch watching this, and I was like, this is going to be whatever. Like, this isn't going to be anything I'm going to remember. And boy, was I wrong, because this was one of my favorite matches of the year last year. And I was so happy that they uploaded this onto their YouTube. And I was devastated when I put it on the mixtape this week, and I saw it only had like 600 views, and that is a fucking crime. And I think I've mentioned it on the show before, but I've been naive to the fact that the reason places like AIW has like 150,000 YouTube subscribers is because they post lady matches, and people who can't masturbate to pornography in different countries watch lady wrestling or intergender wrestling on YouTube, and that's what they masturbate to. And I'm an idiot, and I just figured this out like within the last 5 months or so. And I was just like, oh, independent wrestling is just really popular. They have 100,000 subscribers, but no, it's just when there's women. So it's criminal. This match only has 600 views, and I'm sure some woman match has like 54 million views on the same channel. But yeah, this is basically Big Twan Tucker has big in his name, so he's also a hoss. So this is just quite a hoss fight. Also in my mind, after putting this on the mixtape, I saw the runtime was only 6 minutes and 30 seconds, and in my mind this was like a 25-minute classic. But I was wrong. This is only 6 minutes, and that is not really a bad thing. These are I talked a couple years ago about making a VHS tape called Big Beefy Boys in Japan or something like that. This isn't in Japan, but these two big beefy boys could definitely be on my compilation, because these are two big beefy boys just slamming into each other, and it's pretty amazing. It's like it's two hosses, and they're just slapping the fuck out of each other. Twan's throwing these fucking forearms into his face and Mander's face, and you're just like, this is pretty cool. And then they start doing actual moves, and I'm not going to say a lot of these moves are well executed, but that's what makes it great, because they're very dangerous. This is very old 90s All Japan danger style. Manders does I think he's trying to do a gut wrench power bomb, and he doesn't quite get it, so he drops Twan on his head, and scary. It is scary, but also crowd could have gave this a better reaction. I would have been losing my shit if I saw this in real life, but the crowd was just kind of like sort of into it. That was kind of upsetting. Outside of that, I think, like I said, I think Manders has only been wrestling for like a couple years. I got to see him a couple times in AAW. He did like some prelim matches, and I hope they bring him back at some point, because I really think this dude's gonna be somebody someday. He's he's like a classic looking cowboy type of dude, and he's big, and he's good at wrestling. So it just seems like somebody's going to sign this dude sooner than later. I don't really have much descriptive to say about this match. It's 6 minutes, and I think it's one of the greatest independent matches of last year. Under 10 minutes. It's just two dudes just hitting the shit out of each other. This has to be, I mean, I haven't seen many Twan or Manders matches, but I'm going to go on a limb and say this is both of their best matches. This is a high recommend from me, but what did you think, Al?
Dude, I thought you were going to call that compilation Pain Pigs.
I don't remember saying Pain Pigs, but that's a good name too.
That's like, I was kind of laughing off mic. I was like, Big Beefy Boys. I thought he was going with Pain Pigs. That's fine. I hope you do Pain Pigs though. It's a good one. For some context, this is the first time I've seen either of these guys, but I've always heard their names because I listened to the AIW podcast. So, thanks for adding this. But not a lot to add, but I really like the brevity of this match, and the really simple story of them just like trading their best shots. But like Mike, what I like most is that both these guys, they're not really refined. That's okay, because they both turn a gut wrench suplex, which is kind of like a very basic wrestling move, into their own forms of like very super dangerous moves. And it was like incredible to see. So Twan, he does his first, and it's like he does it backwards, and it just looked fucking crazy. And then Manders I guess they call this a receipt in the biz. He definitely does like a fucking like gut wrench gonzo bomb on Twan Tucker. It's fucked up. Also, there's a lot of very inspired football offense, which is a very nice throwback to me too. So I was very pleasantly surprised. You should watch this one. My first match of the night is Alexander Otsuka versus Yuki Ishikawa, Battle Arts 120 1998. So I think I picked this match after Mike, he picked the Bloodsport match, just to see if like this elevated form of like shoot style would impress Mike. But I kind of have a feeling on how he felt about this match. Admittedly, there's some very deep grinding. Although it's very masterful, it does go a little long. Even though like Otsuka, he's so good at it. Like there's a part where he has like a knee bar and an arm bar applied at the same time. And then like he's like turns like an ankle pick into like a giant swing. Like I guess that's what Battle Arts is good at. Like they're like really good at like integrating like all these real ass moves into like modern pro wrestling for 2000 or 1998 in this instance. But like after 6 minutes of like this shit, like it kind of like loses its luster for me. Like, you guys can't see it, but like if you're like in minute 13, like it's jack off hands. I don't care about it anymore. The last couple minutes of this match though are pretty good. There's some pretty breathtaking suplexes like the last match. But I don't know if I can recommend this strongly. What'd you think?
Yeah. I was Alexander Otsuka was my favorite Battle Arts guy. I never put him on the mixtape just because there's not a lot, and I think maybe he has been on the mixtape, but there's not a lot. This is Wavy Boy Smith uploaded this, and he always uploads the good stuff because he's definitely a listener. So I'm glad, even if this might be not the best. It's not even like I don't think it's the best match. I really just think what Alexander Otsuka was doing back then was pretty mind-blowing to me back then, and not so much anymore. And I think that's what the problem is, because like there is a lot of slow grinding. I liked him because he was like, you know, he's this weird wrestler, like amateur style wrestler or Greco-Roman style wrestler, and he's wearing like he's always wearing like neon pink or neon yellow singlets, and he has like a Greco-Roman style wrestling background, but he also has these flashy moves, like he does the Hurricane Rana into like a mount and punch in the face move here, and that's pretty wild. That is like a cool move where if I was creating a wrestler in a video game, that would be one of my top moves, because that's pretty fucking sick. So that's why I liked him back then. But yeah, I don't think time does too well to these types of matches, because I do think this is probably, if you asked like a bunch of wrestling nerds, I'm sure this is one of the higher rated Battle Arts matches that happened. I think this is like a pretty notable match. But it just doesn't have the striking that I think a lot of people relate with Battle Arts, so maybe they wouldn't like it as much. But I do think, I don't know his status. I think he still wrestles, but Alexander Otsuka seems due to have the novelty Mania weekend bookings maybe next year or something, because there's a lot of guys who are like wrestling guys now that I'm just kind of like whatever about, that I'm sure would be dying to wrestle this dude. And I would travel to see him, because I like I said, he was my favorite Battle Arts guy back then. So, but speaking of that, this is a lot of people chanting wrestling, and this is, and even like Al said, it's grinding and it does get kind of jerk offy after a while. It's still like, you compare this type of it to what people say that to now, and it's just like, man, this is so much better, so much more realistic, even if it's kind of boring in a way. But the shit people say to it now is so sloppy and not as good as this. So if you are into that wrestling style, this is definitely a must watch, I think, because it's so good at that stuff. In retrospect, I left it on purpose, but another reason I liked Alexander was because he did the giant swing, a move that's near and dear to my heart. It's such an odd move, and in retrospect, watching this now, it's even more odd that he did this move, because he is the guy who's doing the regular wrestling style, but also doing the flashy suplexes and the Hurricane Rana. But giant swing, I don't really know the origins of that move. I really think it was just a move like Giant Baba did it. I think that's why it was called the giant swing. I think it was just a move people did because they could do it and it looked cool, because outside of that, like the hardest move you could do was like a body slam. So swinging somebody by their legs was just like insane. So The fact that he was still doing it at this point, and he otherwise had a pretty wrestling mat-based moveset, it kind of sticks out. But I guess Cesaro does it too, but I think it makes more sense with Cesaro. But yeah, overall, I'm kind of in Al's camp. I don't know if I could recommend this. There are a section of people out there who really love this. This is very realistic. It has a very realistic ending. You would have to be kind of in the right mindset to watch this because they act like a fucking suplex is the most devastating move on earth. And even in 1998, no one was really acting like that. So you really have to like put your mind in a special place. But it's good for what it is. My last match is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Michael Elgin from AAW, May 2017. I chose this match, of course, because me and Al and a bunch of other Vert bags were there live, including the one Jay Wealth, 5'11", two-time sex haver, and also Thrift Store Jobber, and of course Joel, and JB was there too, and probably some other people I'm forgetting, but there was a ton of people there. And this is our first time of me and Al seeing AAW. My first time ever being in Chicago. Now I live here, and at the time I would have never imagined I would be living here, but here I am. And also, this is the match that me and Al both voted for our best live match of 2017. So I was glad AAW uploaded this because I haven't watched it since then, and I wanted to see if it still held up. And so here we are. First thing I noticed is not a wrestling move in this. It is that there's an instant replay. I've watched a couple videos of AAW, and usually they're live. I don't need to watch it on video, but it's very rare for indie promotions to have replay. So I was kind of like shocked. I was like, whoa, they just did a replay, and it was like a real replay. It wasn't like an and one mixtape replay. It was a real replay. So that was pretty cool. I like those details. So at one point, Zack Sabre Jr. tries the very rare top rope octopus hold. He doesn't exactly get it, but he tries it, and that's what counts to me. That is a great move. So if you guys don't know the story of this match, I don't know. I'm not an AAW historian, but I've been going to enough shows for the past couple of years where this still probably stands as my favorite match I've ever seen in AAW. And I wanted to see if it still held up. And so this is a very, very good wrestling match. I know that Mike Elgin is not really held in high regard anymore. And I know Zack Sabre Jr. isn't everybody's cup of tea. And I will say, Zack Sabre Jr. has ended up on this mixtape quite a lot. And this has to be his best match on the mixtape. It's still probably his best match. I don't know if it's his best match. That match he had in Naito a couple years ago is probably my favorite Zack Sabre Jr. match, but this is still up there too. So if you are a ZSJ hater, I think this one might even win you over. At one point, the crowd is chanting Zack Sabre Jr. And they pan through the whole crowd. And you can see Al singing along to Zack Sabre Jr.
Fuck you, no. I was not. Bro. What the fuck?
Okay, I made that up. That's not true. I was hoping Al just didn't say anything, so everybody would just believe that happened, but it did not happen. I saw me for a second. I can't see Al. I see Welf and Thrift Store Jobber a few times, but yeah, otherwise you can't really see us anyways. But also, this match is close to 20 minutes. I think it ends at 19 minutes, and it's, I guess you get to shave a couple minutes off, but I really think this is really good. But there's a part where after they're doing all their devastating finishers, and it could end at any minute, Zack Sabre Jr. does the kick out at one move, and the crowd erupts because it's pretty crazy to kick out at one at that point. And I gotta say, out of all the things that are super overdone in wrestling that people do multiple times on one show, I'm kind of glad no one does the kick out at one. Like it's never really overdone. You don't see it 7 times on one card. It's usually saved for really epic moments, and I'm very glad that that's sort of one of the only protected things left in wrestling. So I think it was very effective here. And yeah, overall, I still think this is a really good match. I think this gets my highest recommendation. This is just a great match between a power guy and like a technical guy, and it just fucking works. And A+ is all around. What did you think, Al?
Yeah, you can only really see me at the beginning. I'm sitting next to Wealth. But other than that, I'm kind of just like slumped over. We had some things to drink that day.
Yeah.
But I was pretty bucked that night. But yeah, a lot of internet wrestling boys in the building that night. Adam of Dismantle, he was there too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
Fucking Thrift Store Jobber, man. shout out that poor traffic cone in the street. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember it. He was worse off on WrestleMania weekend, so it's almost like I don't remember it, because now anytime I think of thrift store jobber being a piece of shit, I immediately remember WrestleMania weekend instead of Chicago weekend now.
Oh man, I gotta drink with that guy again. He's fun. But yeah, I actually bought this show from the website when it dropped, and aside from the VRTL presence in the building, there's a part in the video where Eddie Kingston, he cuts a promo wearing the Muda shirt, which is fun to me, man. So peep that if you haven't already. Match wise, this holds up, but it's like, to me, like definitely one of those like you had to be there matches, because there were like things that I remember like losing my shit for, but it doesn't necessarily make this a second watch. Namely, ZSJ doing a fucking octopus hold on the top rope. I thought that thing lasted for like 4 minutes, and my mind was melting. But like, I guess it only happened for 2 seconds. He didn't really pull it off. But like, the way I imagined it, the way I viewed it at the time, like he was really fucking cranking that thing open, man, and that was not the case. So, shout out to me, dude. That did not happen. I just imagined that. And it got no reaction. I remember fucking freaking out and shaking you and JB, but no one really fucking felt the energy of that, I suppose. Everyone was like, you didn't pull it off, man. But we saw it. Overall, like, I think the pace of this match is, like, right in my wheelhouse. Like, ZSJ, he doesn't get too cute with, like, trying to turn someone into a pretzel. And man, it's weird to watch Mike Elgin matches. Yeah. 2 years later. He's like one of those guys that like does everything like good, but like not great. Yeah. You know, so it's kind of bland, and like if that's your thing, like I can do every move, then who cares? I guess. But I remember at the time, like he was pretty highly regarded, but now not so much. But yeah, a strong recommendation from me, especially now that it's free. I had to fucking pay for this thing 2 years ago. Last match of the night is Floyd Mayweather versus The Big Show, WrestleMania 24, 3/30/2008. Holy shit, 12 years ago. So 2 reasons why I picked this. We're closing in on the road to WrestleMania, and I recently rewatched an all-time tag team banger between Triple H and Stephanie McMahon versus Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey. And I was like, okay, that's the best celebrity match ever, I think. I wonder if there's another Mania match that involved a celebrity. I wonder if that still holds up. And so, timely enough, they added this to the WWE YouTube channel, so it's free to watch. So what this clip doesn't show is the build-up to this match involving Floyd Mayweather legitimately socking Big Show in the fucking face, which breaks his nose. I wish that was in there. But it wasn't. You need to watch that if you haven't seen this match already. So like I had said, like both these guys, they do their thing. Like fucking master psychologist, The Big Show, he's like smartly working Floyd Mayweather's hands to take away his offense, while Floyd is like selling his ass off in here. So, like I had said, it's the free YouTube version of this match. But WWE, they do this thing where like they pretend that the video is buffering when Floyd Mayweather does these. I don't know. I don't remember if like they were hard chair shots to the head, but they were definitely shots to the head, which admittedly is a pretty slick editing move. But they also did it for Floyd Mayweather punching Big Show in the face with brass knuckles. That's some real babification of wrestling there. You can fucking show that, dude. Like I don't think he really blasted Big Show in the face with a felony, so. Don't fucking buffer that. Let me see that. I do need to see if they, show the uncensored version of this match on the network. But overall, like I thought this match was like super well written, and I loved it. And honestly, like this Mania 24 is like pretty fucking slept on, man. Like Flair HBK, I think this also had Edge and Taker, I believe. It's just like it has to be top 10, I think. But overall, what'd you think about the match?
So yeah, this is one of the very rare WrestleManias I did not watch live. I don't know. I caught this like later on. I think probably when the network came out. Yeah, or maybe I watched it some like on a torrent or something later. Yeah, I probably watched it on a torrent because that's what I was doing back then. But yeah, I didn't watch this one live. This is also a fit Big Show because he always fluctuates in weight, but he's pretty fit here. As Al said, this is you go into this match probably thinking it's going to be a novelty match, and it is, but considering that Big Show probably couldn't do too much to Floyd Mayweather because he's worth millions and millions of dollars, and considering the size difference, psychologically, this is a really well done match, like super well done, and it's pretty amazing to see because, like I said, you just expect like some kind of circus match. This could be on my Criterion collection too because this is just it's so good how well they execute this match where. It's both of these people are very limited, but obviously they're both great athletes, but just not in the same thing. Those shorts that Mayweather's wearing, which may be velvet, they may be suede or velvet, and they're basically down to his ankles, and there might even be fur. I don't know. I have a theory that he had these made for like a boxing match, and they were like, "No, dude, you can't fucking wear these in a boxing match." And so he was pumped when he got this. He was like, "I'm gonna wear those fucking shorts I had made, those suede fur shorts that are gigantic." Because I can't process any other reason he would own these or want to wear them because they're so wild.
I actually had a theory about this.
Yeah.
I feel like when small people wear bigger clothes, they look smaller. So maybe it was like accentuating the size difference. That was my theory.
Yeah, maybe.
As someone who's a tiny man,
yeah,
I got to make sure those pants are tapered. So that's my theory.
You can see two signs right next to each other. One, and they're both, I think, in the same handwriting, both on yellow paper. Black marker. One says white trash, and the other one right next to him says I'm gay. That's a good way to remember yourself for being immortalized on video holding those signs. 2000, early 2000s and 90s were different times, but I hope all these people look back at their shitty signs and just cringe at how stupid they were.
It's Florida, man. It's Florida. What do you expect?
That's true. Those people would still probably be holding those signs up. You're right. Yeah, as Al said, the fucking chair shot censorship, you cowards, you fucking cowards, you make it look like it's our fucking video fucking up, and it's not. It's just you being cowardly and not showing it. I would have fell for it if it was just once because it happened, and I was like, oh, that's an unfortunate time for that to skip. And I was like, hey, wait a second, it happened again. And then it happens during the punch, like Al said, which is ridiculous. I can understand the chair shots now after, again, the Benoit thing. Maybe not show the chair shots. That makes sense, but you gotta show him getting punched in the face, man. That's the fucking finish of the... I don't know. It's stupid. It's just cowardly. This match, lastly, just made me think that, you watch this match and you try and imagine this match with no crowd, and this is fucking reason number one. You should have just postponed WrestleMania, because I think this match is surprisingly great and probably holds up. As it's hard to say it's a celebrity match because he's still an athlete, he's a top level athlete. But as far as a carnival, like a gimmicky freak show match, out of all of those that have happened on WrestleMania, because there's always at least a couple every WrestleMania, this has to be upper echelon. They put way more thought into this than you would ever imagine. And I just can't imagine how awkward and stupid this would have been in front of nobody. So just postponed up WrestleMania, guys. Just say this is the WrestleMania special or something instead of saying it's WrestleMania. But overall, if you're a weirdo like me and didn't watch this live and you've never seen it, this is definitely worth your time to watch.
And that was episode 107 of the defending world champion Sound Virtual Pros. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTL Pros. Hit us on iTunes. Leave a review. I think we're close to 100. That'd be fucking crazy if we got 100 reviews. Hit us on Discord. Just chat with us. We're all home all day long.
Yes.
Talk some shit. And if you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. I'm a little sad, Mike, because this should have been the episode where we had one of our flagship shows,
yep,
Merchamania. And we can't do that. And coupled with the fact that I can't gamble right now, I'm fucking close to the edge right now. And I was going to give you an opportunity to go double or nothing, but now I don't know what to gamble on.
Yeah.
So I had shouted out the email address. Give us some ideas on what we can bet on, because I need it. I fucking need it in my life right now to gamble.
You gotta watch those marble races, man. You gotta gamble on those marble races.
Bro, if they had fucking live marble races all day long.
I found the YouTube channel. There's a bunch. They're just not live. You gotta wait for them to put new ones up.
So yeah, let us know. But other than that, any last words, Mike?
Hey, stay at home, you motherfuckers, and wash your goddamn hands.
Wash those hands, man. Wash the thumbs.
Yeah.
You know what? I watch a lot of videos about hand washing too.
Yep.
I have nothing to do. And I recognize that the thumbs don't get a lot of love, even though I'm pretty cleanly. So watch those thumbs, the knuckles too. Get all that shit. Episode 108 in 2 weeks. See you guys later.